Alright, so this video I'm going to be reading from Colossians 1, and I'm going to be reading verses 15 to 21. So I'm just going to read through it once, and then I'm just going to go through a few things which stood out to me. Now obviously there's a lot in these verses, and I'm not going to be able to cover every little detail, but I will do the best I can, and it's up to you to kind of fill in the gaps. And there are a few questions that I have of it as well after reading through it, so maybe we can even help each other out a little bit here. So verse 15 says, Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. He existed before anything was created and is supreme over all creation. For through him God created everything in the heavenly realms and on earth. He made the things we can see and the things we can't see, such as thrones, kingdoms, rulers and authorities in the unseen world. Everything was created through him and for him. He existed before anything else, and he holds all creation together. Christ is also the head of the church, which is his body. He is the beginning, supreme over all who rise from the dead. So he is the first in everything. For God in all his fullness was pleased to live in Christ, and through him reconciled everything to himself. He made peace with everything in heaven and on earth by means of Christ's blood on the cross. So that is quite a big passage, and it is filled with stuff. And I want to zero in on this theme of Christ being supreme. So it starts off in verse 15. It says, Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. So in simple terms, Jesus equals God. Jesus was God in human form. We can't see a physical image of God. He has revealed himself through many different means, but Jesus is the physical image we have of God. So he existed before anything was created. So God was there. This is saying, and it's said in other parts of the Bible before, if you go back to Genesis, it says, in the beginning there was God. So God existed before anything else. He was it. And further on, in that sense, if we go by the theme of Jesus being God, Jesus was also there at the beginning. Christ was there from the very beginning. And then if we go a little bit further into verse 16, right down the end. So everything was created through him and for him. I think that last two words is something that we sometimes forget. Everything was created through him and for him. So this earth and everything that we have is not created for our purpose. It's created for his purpose. And when I think about that, that brings me to a point of gratitude. To think that everything was created for him, yet we still have these amazing things in life that we don't deserve. God could have had anything he wanted. He could have created anything. He's shown in all of his creations on earth that he has so much creativity, so many brilliant ideas, and yet he chooses to have a relationship with us. So he humbles ourselves, the thought that everything has been created for him. We've got to remember that we're in this world for his purposes, and his plan may not line up with our plans for our own lives. We might have these grand plans for success, or these grand plans for, I don't know, becoming famous, becoming a Australian Idol singer, whatever it may be. But God might have different plans for us, and we've got to remember that. And we've got to try and stay in tune with what God's plans are for us, which can be a really difficult thing to do. The only way you can do that is through lots of prayer and lots of spending time with God. But it is by no means an easy task, because we can never truly understand the depth of God's plans for us. We can only understand how we perceive it, and we can only understand things on a human level, whereas God understands things as God, as the creator of all things, reigning supreme. So his understanding of everything is far superior to any understanding that we have of what's going on. And then in verse 17, he existed before anything else, so a recurring theme here, and he holds all creation together. In the blink of an eye, God could end everything that we have ever known. He could click his fingers and the earth could instantly disappear. Or he could do it in whatever way he wanted. But that's quite an extreme example, but he could do that. But yet he chooses, he is holding everything together. He is the one that gives us a place to live. He is the one that allows us to exist. And sometimes when I think of creation, I just think of how amazing his perfect plans are, and the way everything is so intricately and perfectly designed to work together. Think of the human body, for example, the way that the motor neurons work and all of the blood vessels and all of the intricate systems we have inside of our body to keep us going, where one tiny little thing can go out of whack and that can make us not function properly. That's something that is incredible by design, and something that just wows me every single time I think about his creations. And in the same way, he is holding everything together because he understands every single part of whatever system in everything. So he understands, he knows exactly what's happening in each individual part of our body. He understands how the plants grow, how the animals feed and grow, and how the ecosystems work. He understands everything because he created it all. He was the grand designer of everything. And that's quite amazing when you think about it in that light. So verse 18, Christ is also the head of the church, which is his body. He is the beginning, supreme over all who rise from the dead. So I'm just stealing this from Bible reference here, just touching base on what they have written. So it says, in addition to Jesus being creator and sustainer of all things, which is what the previous verses talked about, all believers are under Christ's authority and leadership. So Paul refers to believers or the church body, believers, blah. And in the last couple of verses, I'm going to go over it briefly, but essentially it's rounding it up and it's saying that through Christ's death and resurrection, through his sacrifice, this is what allows all of us believers to be saved, through his sacrifice. So that's my kind of summary of verses 15 to 21 of Colossians chapter 1. Please let me know what you think. Obviously, I'm always open to feedback on this. I'm sure there's quite a few things that I've missed, and I'm also always open to hearing other people's angles and what they pick up that I don't, because as Christians, it's all about building each other up and supporting each other in our journeys of faith. So I hope that if you've got this far, or even if you didn't get this far, that what I've said has been able to help you in some way.